And then on to the 4 centers. Or, wait, am I miscounting?
No, I think there's 4. There's 4 centers.
Yeah. I don't want to forget about good old Chimezi Metu.
Yeah.
I didn't even write him down here. Oh my god,
To
Chimezi Metu,
start,
a bit of a. We'll get to him, but go ahead with the other All Star on this team.
yeah. So I mean, you start off with Sabonis. I mean, he gets an A for sure. No matter how you felt about him in the playoffs, I think. I mean, that he was so good. And down the stretch, I feel like he was getting triple double every other game. Like for real though. I mean, he was arguably the best player in the regular season, and yeah, maybe he didn't show up as much in the playoffs. And it's not like he didn't even show up. It just wasn't a good matchup for him.
Exactly.
And it was just a shame because you play the Lakers in the second round. He's going to be battling, having a lot better series. But we never got to see that, unfortunately. But I don't think he should be knocked too hard. Like he should be knocked a little. I get it. But he did everything he could for this team. And yeah, he gets an A or an A plus, just like Fox, the 2 All Stars on this team, as I think they deserve.
Yeah, I feel like the only reason I would knock Sabonis down is if I felt that they lost the Warriors series because of him, and I really don't feel that way. I just think the 3-point shooting decline, the decline in performance from guys like Barnes and Herter was far more of a stain on their ability to win that tough series. And as you said, as we were saying going into the series, this was not a favorable matchup for Sabonis. The Warriors are a weird team when it comes to the center position, and they can make things difficult. And so we knew what Sabonis was getting into. Like you said, take the playoffs out of it. He was just, I mean, talk about MCP. He was the real most consistent player all season.
Yeah.
And yeah, people shouldn't lose sight of the fact that Sabonis is one of the best centers in the league, one of the best players in the league.
Mm-hmm. Not at all.
Yeah. So A. First half, second half / playoffs, and overall grade A. Pretty great. Pretty good. Pretty good move to get that Sabonis guy.
Yeah. And it was nice to see him in the first full year in the Kings because he looked so good in that second half in sack the first year we got him, but he lived up to all the expectations in his first full year. Incredible.
That's true. It's weird. What order do you want to go in now following Sabonis?
I think we should go to Lynn next,
Yeah.
just because he was the primary backup to Sabonis down the stretch. I mean, for expectations wise, I feel like he deserves an A, right?
Yeah. Let me put it this way. I gave him a D plus in the first half because I felt like, well, they're never giving him a chance. And as much as Mike Brown wants to say, like, yeah, I just haven't given him a chance, that to me felt like, well, they know that they have a hole here personnel-wise in Alex Len, and they don't want to put him out there. Yeah. Well, I'm throwing that grade out. The dean has taken that off his permanent record. And I want to say that for the second half, I want to give him an A, and then overall give him an A minus.
I love that.
And I just think that that's fair. He really was the most surprising impact player, and he finished out 8 games of the regular season terrifically. He even played pretty solid into the early games of the playoffs, of course, with adjustments and whatnot. Things were not favorable for him. But if we're talking about things not being favorable for Sabonis, the fact that Len was playing impactfully in the first 2 or 3 games, really, he deserves to be commended for that. And, he doesn't go out there and hurt you, really, which was great. Nice size, but wasn't, a clunky caboose out there,
Yeah. And even that first playoff game, he won the defensive player of the game chain.
Right. Yeah. So he had that emphatic block.
Yeah.
Just, and as much as Mike Brown will be like, yeah, blocks don't matter. It's like, man, I didn't even think of the block. Like, all season, you don't see them in that many blocks. You almost lose sight of the fact that, like a dunk, a block can be an energy play.
Oh, for sure.
So, Alex Len, he's earned his flowers. Give me an address, Alex. I want to send you some edible arrangements.
Yeah, Alex was kind of like, where's this guy been all year? And it's not even his fault. It was like it was Brown. It was kind of weird, but his
Yeah.
number finally got called and he showed up.
You know what's interesting is we saw that game when Sabonis missed that first game against Denver right after the thumb injury, and Mike Brown was diagnosed with COVID, couldn't coach, and so Fernandez went out there, and Fernandez, I guess, made the decision to start Len. I wonder how it was Fernandez in Brown's ear about using Len all year. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Interested to know how much or who was vouching for him because it sounds like whenever Mike Brown finally makes a decision, he's like, "Yeah, I finally gave in to Jordy or Luke
Yeah,
Locks or Robbie Lemons or these guys." And yeah, I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to think about.
that's
But
a good
Alex
point.
Len was just terrific,
Yeah,
given that he did not have a chance.
yeah,
Then finally kind of got one, and he was just, whoa, this guy's been the best backup. Even in an 8-game stretch, he was the best backup all season.
but yeah, by far,
Uh,
incredible.
the guy that almost won that, though, was Chimezi Metu. But
Hmm.
Chimezi Metu just kept doing things to make himself lose the job. He never held on to it for very long,
No,
and we gave him a C plus in the first half. I want to give him a C minus in the second because it just felt like you lose the job because you start playing outside yourself. You should stop trying to play outside yourself, and he kept doing that, and he lost the job again by doing that. And I don't know. Sometimes you wonder with players, as much as he wants to play a certain role, it's like sometimes you can't shake the self perception. And there's some self perception that Chimezi Metu has where he's like Naz Reid or something, maybe
yeah,
even better than that, honestly, in his head. Um, so it's like, man, and I say this again. I was reading um, an article that we'd posted a year ago going into the offseason about potential free agents. And because Chimezi Metu was going in with a club option, we threw him into the article. And I was reading it and it's like, yeah, the interesting thing about him is that the way he finished the season kind of being a stretch big, like if he can do that for a whole season, which was never guaranteed, never promised, like that would really play into an opportunity to have a good role and be an effective player. And that just never surfaced. If anything, he got more hesitant with his 3-point shot. I think one of his last times as the backup five, and even some of his final performances, he'd get wide open shots on the wing. He wouldn't even take it. And
yeah,
of course, you don't really want Metu to play outside himself, take those shots all the time. But there's a philosophy here to let it fly, especially when you're open, and to instill confidence in yourself and to let the other team know that that's a confident shot. And so he was a weird mix of being overly confident and not confident. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. He's a guy that's got full bird rights connections to Mike Brown. So it's like if they want to bring him back for a dime, I don't know, as like a depth piece, but it's just like if you could avoid bringing Chimezi Metu back, I think based on his season, that's kind of the feeling I get.
hmm it'll be kind of weird. Like, who's gonna back up next year? Do you just go to Kada at this point? I don't know. It's gonna be kind of interesting because Lynn's a free agent as well. Um,
Yeah, but the interesting thing is the market for centers. Like, there's like Naz. I mean, Naz Reid is probably going to command some money, but there's like Christian Wood is an interesting guy that maybe could get on a 1-year deal, kind of have a year that gets him back on track.
hmm
Um, I don't know. There's some interesting players out there. Maybe they try to add a five through the draft and let him and Kata battle it out. I'm not sure. But I just they if the Kings cannot go into next season being like, yeah, no, Metu, he'll figure it out. He'll be the guy.
No, I
I
mean,
don't even see that
it'd be dumb
happening.
to, especially after his lack of play in the playoffs and him kind of just seemingly losing his job down the stretch.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you would be hard to even like go back to that. It's just
Yeah,
it'd be a bad look.
yeah. But C minus for the second half, is that fair? Or do you want to go lower?
Oh, no, I'm fine with the C minus. I mean, he wasn't like absolutely terrible, but he did lose his job. Which also, it's like I'm kind of happy with that. I feel like maybe if he didn't lose his job, he would have been. It may have gone lower. Chimezi might do the playoffs. He screwed us. So
Yeah,
he
that's
kind of
fair.
like, yeah, he didn't get a drop as low because he didn't get a chance to play. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to Alex Lynn him like he did in the first half.
Yeah, I've learned not to be so mean. I think
Yeah.
that's why I'm not so mean this time around. It's just like, Alex Len proved that just give me a second, you don't need to be a jackass.
Yeah, exactly. But on to the last guy. And this is a guy I kind of want to give an incomplete as well. Well, not as well, but maybe an incomplete. I don't, it's kind of a weird one because it's like Rashawn Holmes. Can you give him an incomplete based on the money he's making and what he's done in the past, or
That's
does
the
he,
one stickler. That's the one thing.
or does he just get an F because of that? If he's non-playable.
In the first half, I gave him a D minus because of that whole like principle of not giving a guy an F. Although you made a good point. It's like if you're ever going to give a guy an F, this would be the time. But it's interesting. I was such a jackass in the first half. I'm like, no, don't give Holmes an F.
Yeah,
Defending him.
just screw over Lynn.
I mean, I'm far more sympathetic just given the fact that it's like, when Mike Brown noted the fact that he's still dealing with stuff off the court, the defamation suit gets filed in early March. I mean, like, I would want to give him an incomplete for the second half.
Yeah, that's how I feel
which
too.
probably therefore warrants an incomplete overall.
Yeah.
But it at the same time, I mean, Holmes, there's no way to know exactly what the Kings were more likely, hopefully, another team would get out of Holmes next season at age 32 now or going on to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I would give him an incomplete. I think
I'm going to
that's
give him
fair.
the benefit of the doubt with all the off-court matters as well. It seemed like, especially when Brown said, it seemed like it was still affecting him more than he was giving, I guess, the off-court stuff credit. Holmes, I'm talking about. So I'm okay giving him an incomplete. I don't know if he's on the team next year and he's still not playing. If he's going to get the same, he's going to get the same grade, the same generosity of an incomplete.
Yeah, they got to find a way to get rid of him, though. That's kind of imperative, especially if they're going to either sign a replacement to Barnes or sign a couple of players. They want to put themselves in a good position to set Sabonis up for that contract extension, which I guess would give you another extra year of leeway. But just given everything, I feel like you have to get rid of Rashawn Holmes in some capacity.
For sure. You have to. You have to find a way. Not going to be easy, but one of McNair's biggest challenges yet, really.
Maybe that's why McNair held on to a bunch of second-round picks.
Yeah, very true.
Package them up.
Keep Rashawn Holmes with 5 second-rounders.
That's not, hey.
I'd be like, sure. I don't even care. I don't even care about second-rounders.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I really don't.
Oh, yeah, I can't really blame you. But yeah, that incomplete for Holmes. Just at the end of the day, in hindsight, it just seems like that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think so too.